taking my boy back.
You what?
Taking my boy Oscar back on a little journey.
Oh, man.
What? Always giving me a hard time, dude. Notice that?
Which reminds me of good pizza.
We just saw those guys in front of the shop in Conchi.
Really?
I think I kind of freaked them out. He's like, I watch you all night long on Instagram.
He said that. He said that out his window.
He was like, thanks, dude.
Real Estate and Ramblings, episode 20. We're at 20.
420.
I'm so sorry, everybody. And it's guest day here. Everyone, you're in luck. It is guest day all day here at Real Estate and Ramblings. We have not one, but two guests today, Michael.
And three if you count.
Well,
our
Justin's
extra
not a
special.
guest.
But
Justin's like part of the team by now.
okay, you're part of the team.
Love it.
Not only they are two guests, but two of some of our favorite people. First up is Oscar Mikols. Did I do that
Wait,
right?
let's do it on the record. Michaels.
Michaels?
It's
Really?
Yeah, it's shortened from a Polish last name of Mikołajczyk. But that's all right. You can call me
Wow.
Mikolas.
And you know what
How
I
did
meant
you
to
not get-
ask you?
how
Hold
did
on.
you
I
not
meant to
know
ask
that?
you before we started how to pronounce it,
Sorry.
too.
I mean, Michaels.
I'm going
It's
to
easy.
really look at that and you tell me how that says.
I would have said Michaels.
First up is Oscar Mikols. Oscar is a professional videographer and photographer
One of the best.
extraordinaire who started OM Media in 2017. He specializes in high-end architectural real estate photography and aerial photography and videography, and has since branched out into hospitality marketing and brand creation. His work has been published in different magazines like Dwell or New York Times, Philadelphia Style, but not to mention, Oscar was integral in producing Michael's Eagles hype video earlier this year. So, I mean, Oscar, that should probably have led the resume and the bio is I put up with Michael and I pulled together that Eagles hype video.
Wah, wah, wah.
The pizza made up for it.
Yeah,
It's
we
good
did
pizza.
treat you to
It was
pizza.
a good night.
But first, it wouldn't be a Sivel Group Real Estate and Ramblings if we didn't need Michael to fill us in on his music selection, which is a good roll right into poor Oscar and pizza and the hype video. But
Well, you know, that was the music from The Who, Eminence Front, which we used on the hype video for the Super Bowl.
well, to be fair, Oscar used and Oscar picked out. You did not pick that out. I know he did.
Pretty sure I picked that out.
I think
Jen.
it was like pre-put in my head because it was played on loop the entire night we were in the band.
No, I thought that was
But-
all Oscar.
And so,
You should take the kudos
All
for
right,
that.
all right. I will.
It's fun to take it away from him.
so we used that in the video,
Mm-hmm.
and it's first night of the draft.
Tonight.
Fly Eagles fly,
Mhm.
go at 'em,
Mm-hmm.
go boys.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, just taking us back to the Eagles because the Phillies are awful. Just felt like that was the right tune.
So that was our intro tune.
That was it.
It's full circle.
Yeah. So, Oscar, we wanted to first talk about your company and how you got started in marketing real estate. Because it's not just an easy avenue to jump right into.
Well, let's talk about like photography. I mean, we don't have to jump right into real estate. Like,
well,
clearly,
marketing real
when
estate
did you first pick up a camera?
There you go.
It's a great question. So I guess my mother owned a cafe in Percy back when I was young. I was like 2008 or so, 2009, like right before all the shit hit the fan with the depression, and I had an interest in
Or
like
the recession.
recession. Yeah,
The
Whatever.
Great Recession.
Yeah.
the,
Go ahead.
the great recession. But yeah, so I had an interest in food because like everyone in my family cooks but me. I can barely make a bowl of cereal. But they make amazing food, and I was like, man, I would love to start shooting that. So she had a little point and shoot like Nikon camera, so I started doing some of the stuff around the restaurant, and that's kind of rolled into one thing to another. So I went to college for marketing, international marketing, and social media marketing. And when I was going to school, I was bartending, and you meet some characters when you're bartending.
I bet.
It's-
Where were you bartending?
So it's bartending at a place called Heart of Oak Pub, Bocce Restaurant. It's on the corner of 413 and 202 in Buckingham, just outside of Doylestown, New Hope area.
Oh, that would be Characters City.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. So I'm bartending there throughout school and whatnot. And one night I was bartending, a guy came in that was a regular for the longest time, and I guess he was going through a divorce or whatnot, and he would come in more frequently and more frequently, and I was like, oh man, like, how you doing? And he saw me shooting food as he was coming in the one day, and he's like, I didn't know you were a photographer. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I just, do it to help the restaurant with their social media and stuff. And he was like, the next time he came in, he's like, are you still taking photos? And I was like, yeah, I mean, from time to time. Why do you ask? And he was like, we're selling our house in Buckingham. You want to take photos? And I was like, I've never shot a house before, but like, give me a couple days, I'll learn on YouTube.
And he owned the house.
He owned
so
the
he
house.
was the seller.
Yeah, he was the
Interesting.
homeowner.
Yeah,
But
homeowner seller.
he was a retired consultant for Merck, so like he knew a lot of people, and I was like, you know what, this could be a good opportunity in the back of my head. So 2 days later, I went and I met the realtor there. Never met him before. I'll leave the name off the record just for now. But it was my first client, and I did those photos, and I shot the house. And looking back now, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I never sent those. But like the day I did it, I was really proud of that like work, and like I couldn't believe that happened. And got paid a nice paycheck right there, sight on scene. I was like, wow.
Did they like the photos, even though you probably ultra scrutinized them?
So getting to that, 2 days later, I get a phone call, and he's like, Oscar, we really loved your photos. We'd love for you to start shooting our listings. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, what? Like, how does this work? Like, do you call me? Do you email me? Is it same day? And I went on YouTube and I just started learning everything I could during the day because I was bartending at night. I was done school at this point.
What year was this?
This was 2016. So I
Okay.
graduated in 15.
Yeah.
And 2016, I was doing like my
Okay.
first couple shoots. It was towards the end of the year. It was like the fall because I started in 2017. And it kind of just snowballed from there. So I got that one realtor, and I was not doing anything during the day. Like I would bartend until 2, sleep until 10, and wake up, do a shoot, and do it all over again. It was tough. It was a hard life. Like
On your own. It was just you.
it's just me, yeah. I was living above a place called Cross Keys Cafe Diner. It's beautiful. It's a great spot. But they would open up at 5 a.m. and they're banging chairs, and I'm like just going to bed. It was rough at that point.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so that snowballed, and the next thing you know, like one realtor found out, and I just started posting on social media because I was like,
Yeah.
I know how to do social media. Let me just start using my content for marketing. So I started marketing, and next thing you know, my phone was just blowing up, like 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., like when realtors would get home and see my post. I'm bartending, and my phone's just like going off in my pocket.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it went.
I mean, I think that's how we found Oscar on Instagram.
You did probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we find everything.
You stalk Instagram.
I wouldn't say
20
stalk.
I mean,
That
stalk.
Makes giving the consumer the wrong impression of
It's
what I'm actually
stalking.
doing.
It's exactly stalking.
Market research.
Okay,
market
that's
research.
what you call it. Do you remember what you saw that Oscar did? I don't remember.
I
Could it
probably
have been the stuff? Did you do the stuff in Florida? Was it the stuff in Florida? Maybe.
no. I definitely sent a fire emoji though. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Yeah,
did.
definitely.
I actually
you did.
remember it. now.
Definitely sent him a fire emoji.
So did you always like homes? Like, did you all of a sudden realize as you were walking through them, like you were always drawn to that, or that's really secondary? Like you hardly noticed the house.
That's a good question. So I think I got really lucky in the houses that I was shooting right off the bat. Like I wasn't shooting, townhomes or condos or anything. Like it was right off the bat, $2-3 million properties in
Wow.
New Hope and stuff. And I was just like, I didn't grow up that way. I grew up in a row home in Percy and like never saw that side of life. And these people are driving Ferraris and whatever, right across the street from like Lookaway Golf Club. And I never saw that. And when I got that piece of life, like, wow, these are how these people live. I just really enjoyed like how they decorated. I loved the architecture, and not everyone lived super neat, but usually they'd stage the houses for these shoots, and it looked like a magazine every time I walked in. But yeah, like I just grew my love for shooting interiors and architecture just grew from like day after day of shooting these houses.
So is it still just you?
It's not still just me. There's kind of like a fluctuation of what happened. So COVID happened, right, in 2019, and it was just like a free-for-all. It was like, holy crap, we have to find people. I was taking almost anyone at that point. I hired locally to start, and it grew from like 1 to 3 photographers, and then like a month later it was like 7 photographers, and I was just going out shadowing each people, or they'd shadow me on a shoot, and it grew and grew and grew. Come 2020, I think we had like 15 people.
Oh wow, I
You
didn't
know
realize it was that big.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. At one point, I think the most we had was 18, all over. But from COVID and since the dust settled from that, we kind of downsized, just like from an overseeing point, making sure quality. Like we'd rather do quality than quantity any day. As much as that's cumbersome to say, like it's true. I don't want to just send out whatever to whoever just because it's a paycheck. Like we really do care about like the product that we're sending out, and I think that's why we stand apart from a lot of the competition.
Well, I was going to say, with realtors like us, I mean, we have a large business, but we really care. I mean, when you work with teams that have a larger business that really, really pay attention, we know what it means to market a house. We know how important that photography is. We always talk about the 3 Ps, which Justin has learned about, but we believe that prep, pricing, and photos run hand in hand and are equally as important. So we're going to spend money on photography, and we need the consistency and the look. So to your point, it's like if we started getting any old person out there or seeing different types of photos, I mean, that just doesn't work for us. We need the consistency and the quality. Don't you think, Michael? I mean, that's definitely what has appealed to us.
With using Oscar, but I think that's with like a bunch of our photographers. Yeah, it's definitely, I think we put all the prep, our clients put all the prep in that, yeah, having the right photographer and photos at the end of the day, because they're one of the biggest tools, is super important.
How do you like being an entrepreneur and managing a company? Would you much rather just be shooting houses?
Independently wealthy and not have to deal with people?
It'd be cool to win the lottery, but like that's not.
Would
how
you still
life
be
goes.
taking photos? Probably.
I think so. Yeah, like I would always have a passion project going on. I just really enjoy it. Like the people I meet, I look at it as bartending, like with less work that way. I always have to be conscientious of like customer service, even though they're not my direct clients, they're still my clients because they're directly related to you.
Yep.
And I enjoy talking to people. I love the conversation. I love hearing, hey, how did you get here? How are you in this point in your life? And just even, yesterday working with that lady, it was so cool just to hear how things went and, how they got to that point. And seeing those beautiful historic houses, like it's just so cool to see, people taking care of the home in the way it should be taken care of because they have that type of money to do it, where people in a row home might not have it, but they still worked really hard to buy that home.
Yeah.
So it's cool to meet all those walks of life in this career.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool house that you were in.
Michael's had a long relationship with that house.
I have.
We're going to sell it though this year.
But
so I have a question.
It might
for
be
Oscar.
time.
I know you're like digging in, but I have a question.
Digging into what?
Whatever you're going to talk about next. But Oscar, how do you manage? Like as realtors, it was very hard to get used to initially, the fluctuation in the markets, right? So it's like we hit February, March, and we're gangbusters, and then traditionally before COVID, and then July we slow down. And when you're building your business, and when you're a realtor building your business, it's hard to really get used to that fluctuation, get used to that income fluctuation. Are you at a point in your career kind of like us where it's pretty consistent, or how do you manage the ups and downs of real estate? Because right now we're working 7 days a week. We're probably on 7 weeks, besides Easter, working 7 days a week. We're probably on 2 months straight of almost 7 days a week. Oof. How do you manage that? And are you doing that in the spring?
And I haven't lost any weight. Normally spring market comes around and we start working 7 days a week, and I'm getting like thousands upon thousands of steps in.
No time to eat.
And like I can get that back to the 35s, almost get to the 34 section of the closet. Let me tell you something. I tried to put on a pair of 35s yesterday, and that was not happening. I almost didn't come out to the photo shoot because I was so upset. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go hide in the closet because I can't get into these pants. Anyway.
Well, besides your
Sorry
pants,
about that. TMI.
The fluctuation
besides owning 3 different sets of sized pants.
The fluctuation.
Well, the 34s stem from when I had my surgery. Don't ever buy clothing after you have surgery and you're in the hospital for a week, because clearly you're going to be super skinny.
The fact that we still have those, how many years later?
10.
Like 10 years?
I'm holding out hope.
10 years?
Maybe something happens again and I can get back into the 34s.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Oscar.
So that's another great question. I think preparation, like one of your P's you said, like there's no way to prep for market fluctuation. It's really, so my girlfriend does market research, and she always says like forecasting is a really important part of business and looking at trends and data. And I didn't really get into that until she came into my life, and just from her saying that, it made me more interested to look into that stuff. So we really do pay attention to the data through our CRM and see like when the most shoots are coming in over the years. And we do. Our virtual assistants, they like mark that in Excel sheets and create data trend lines for us so we can see what's going on. Overall, it has been pretty consistent, minus like COVID era. That was just bonkers. It was crazy. I'm sure it was for you guys too.
Bananas.
Yeah, it was just like we were in the middle of photo shoots, and people would be doing like private walkthroughs or pocket walkthroughs or whatever, and they would sight unseen pay cash for it, and we wouldn't even have to finish photos and still get paid for it. It was crazy. That doesn't happen anymore, at least not too often. But yeah, I think the trends they're hard to follow. So we've kind of spread out, and that's where the hospitality and commercial photo shoots came from. I was just like slower in those like winter months in terms of like doing real estate stuff. We would still do like marketing and social media management and stuff like that, or reputation management for realtors. And I think as those trends started to settle from the COVID era, like I could spread my wings and do like golf courses and hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. So now I'm like, I get to kind of pick and choose which projects I want to work on. Not saying that I'm not, slow ever, because I definitely am. And there's times where I'm like, oh man, this month could be tighter than I thought it was going to be.
Kind of like those pants.
Yeah, kind of like those pants. I use ChatGPT like a ton though, like just getting ideas and like new things to use, and incorporating AI into my daily life has been a game changer. But we can talk
into
about
your
that.
daily life.
Yeah, so I ask it to help me with my morning routines. Like, hey, I was, doing this and this last week, but I didn't feel like those were working well with the challenges I was facing. What do you recommend? And it will spitball like a ton of ideas at you, which is just crazy. And sometimes when you run a business, there's not many people you can talk to besides other business owners. But like talking to family can be really difficult because they don't always understand, or friends, like they have no clue. They're working their 9 to 5. They just get a paycheck.
Very different.
It's so different, and you're in your head with all these thoughts all the time. So it's nice to ask an artificial intelligence, like, hey, from all the other information you can pull from the web from other entrepreneurs, like, tell me what to do here. And some of the ideas are pretty spot on.
So this morning you were thinking to yourself, you asked it, how are you going to put up with sitting in a room with Jen and Michael for 20 minutes?
Well, this morning
More
I was
Michael than Jen.
working off of like 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours.
Easy.
Of sleep.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I
Up
have
editing.
emails, editing, just management. It's spring market. It's bonkers right now. So I get home at like 6, 7 p.m.
You're still doing it.
Barely eat.
It's not too
eat
different
and
than
doing
us.
email.
Yeah.
So like it's just what you have to do.
Yep.
I
Are you-
can't do it.
Have you started to shoot on the weekends or no?
A
You
little bit.
still
And
trying not
I'm
to?
still trying not to as best I can.
Good luck.
But with some of these luxury listings, it's just like we have to get them done, and we only have a small amount of team members that do like the super high end stuff that I like really trust to do. It's like still my baby. It's like those are gonna have our name on it. I want it to be awesome.
But you're also traveling out of state now for the hospitality and those shoots, right? Like,
Yeah, I
you're
leave
just not here.
Wednesday night. I'll be gone Wednesday to Saturday morning.
Where are you
in
going?
Cape May.
Oh.
Heading down to Cape May. We're working with a great architecture firm out of
Cape.
Jenkintown, which is local, Asher Architects, and Outside Interiors, and I think it was Brandywine Developers, but they built these, $25 million homes on the beach, and I'm not going to say
Very
no to
cool.
that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
Fun.
it is fun, and the crazy, like who you meet down there. Like we photographed the owners of Stateside Vodka's house. They're down in Philly. Beautiful house, like oceanfront. It's just crazy. A lot different than here. Same money, same wealth,
Yeah,
different
it's
style, different
interesting.
vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll have
So-
to shoot our stuff
I
out of
was
state.
just going to say, so now this is where Michael says, Oscar, you're coming to South Carolina and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I
Let's
was
do it.
waiting for it. I knew that's where he was going to go with that one.
Do I get a seat right next to you on the plane?
Probably.
Oh, please.
Nice.
That would be great.
South Carolina, though, we got to get rolling on because we want to do some befores.
Yeah. Soon.
So
That's a
before
quick
we-
flight. That's like if we could do it in
hour
a
and
day.
20 minutes, and then it's a 10-minute
can
car
do it in a
ride.
day.
And yeah, you can.
Where do you
can knock
fly
it out.
into?
Charleston.
Nice, it's right there.
Yeah, we can definitely do it in a day. So tell us, we found you on social media, as Michael said, and
I found him on social media.
I was just, if you didn't interrupt, going to say Michael's a big social media guy, and so he was stalking as usual and found you. How does what
Market
role
research,
does
Jen.
social media play in your business and growing your business? And then how do you kind of see that? Is that going to grow, or is there something on the horizon as far as marketing?
I think it's going to continue to grow, but it's going to grow differently than what we think it's going to do, right? With AI being incorporated into these, everyday life activities and tasks that we're doing, everything's going towards like an automation. Social media has played probably 80% of my business, running ads, posting just daily content. Like the fact that we're behind a camera all day, we just have content at our fingertips, and people envy that. Like people that don't shoot content or have content, they have to hire someone, and they don't have content from all different projects from 10 different photographers coming in. So organizing content and posting content has really benefited our business.
Organizing content.
Could
Could you imagine all the content that we have? I mean, that Dropbox,
Full of
gold
content.
mine.
Yeah.
if it
So
could
an
be organized.
example of
But we're
ChatGPT.
selling houses, so we're a little busy, Michael.
Well, I wasn't saying you or me. It was
I
like
mean, that's how it usually rolls.
So to organize my content and content strategies, I use ChatGPT to give me the best filing system for creating content, posting content, and it's
And it
changed the game for me.
really.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So like how to label folders and stuff, and now that system's just like locked in my head, and that's how we do everything. It's pretty cool.
Oscar would hate to see what that Dropbox looks like that you and Melissa have created over 12 years. I don't even go in it. No, thank you. I don't even go in it.
Yeah, it's a big project, but worth looking into.
interesting. If I could do that with my emails first, that would be amazing.
There's an AI program out there. I forget what it's called, but it will like read through your emails, bring your most prioritized one to the top for you, answer and respond to quick ones,
Oh, no.
delete old ones for
Oh,
you.
no.
What's her name?
There's no hurry.
No.
I
Oh,
forget.
no.
I'll send it to you.
Please.
But it's like an automated. Like,
No.
you pay a monthly fee, but it's pretty cool.
You can answer your own emails.
Yes, but there are some that,
I
thanks, no
answer.
thanks. Hit me up in 5 years.
Okay.
Instead, they constantly, it's a barrage. Just following up on my last email about your SEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you can unsubscribe too. Like that's really convenient.
So
I'm
Jen
always doing that.
unsubscribes to a lot of our peers because some of our
I'm
peers,
tired of
some
it.
of our peers send
Yeah.
out just too much dribble,
Yep.
right? But then when you unsubscribe, you're not getting that important new listing when you need it because you've unsubscribed.
It's true.
So I don't unsubscribe like Jennifer because I feel like some of that inventory that
Well, especially in this day and age of private exclusives and things like that, it's
yeah,
like
because they're
but I've
all
got you.
emailing us,
I got you to get it, so I'm
Right.
unsubscribing.
so I don't unsubscribe as much.
I just think AI is gonna take over that. So like all those dribbling, it would be gone.
The
hopefully.
newsletter crap.
Yeah, it will be like just efficient info or educational info that you need at your fingertips.
Or all the people that want to make our social media better. I mean, how many of those emails do we get? All the people that want to be our international
collab.
digital assistant. All the
Yeah.
that must be
Yeah.
15 emails a day,
Yeah.
20
Constant.
emails a day, constant.
Constant.
Yep.
The
insane.
realtor newsletters are constant. That's
Yeah.
probably the biggest thing in my inbox. And uninvited, like they don't ask me if I want to join their mailing list.
No,
They just
it's
put my
just
email
me
on
too.
there.
But don't they think that their newsletters all come out around the same time, right?
Yeah.
Do they not get the 50 other newsletters from their peers and then realize that
all look the
you know
same.
what? Hey, maybe I shouldn't send out the same newsletter to everyone I put in my database because they're probably getting it from 15 other people.
With the same
Maybe.
template.
Like
Same
why
template.
can't we just
Same template.
change it up? Make
No
it like your
creativity.
own.
You got to think outside the box, and a lot
I
of
mean,
people don't.
I can't stand the number of newsletters I get. It's
So anyway,
Bananas.
to bring it back around to Oscar. Oscar, how do you stay ahead of technology? Because
ChatGPT.
Are you serious?
To some degree. So
Like,
you
what
know.
should I know that's coming up in
Yeah, like-
photography?
Yeah, what automations? Like, there's now you can edit photos with AI. Is it as good? Not necessarily, but for your standard shoot, yeah, absolutely. So like, there's no need for overseas editors or sitting behind your desk for hours. Like when I first started, I edited all my own stuff, and it took hours because I was, I don't know, OCD perfectionist. Like I wanted to make sure it looked really good. But now you can drop your whole photo set into AI and it will
Not
edit
you,
your photos.
not ChatGPT.
No, not ChatGPT.
Okay.
There's different programs
So
out
you're
there and
doing it to
whatnot.
something else.
But ChatGPT knows about them and it'll say, hey, try this one, you know? So I think technology is really gonna I think automation is key, right? Time is money and money is freedom, right? Money is time back to you. So those automations and having those set up are just gonna take over. And I think sooner than later than most people think. Like I think in the next year, like things are really gonna take off. They already have. Like think about a year ago, like no one even knew what ChatGPT was, but it was
Right.
around.
Right.
Look at Facebook now. When you go to post a status, it automatically says like, "Do you want us to rewrite this for you? You're a crappy writer."
Yeah, everything
You
does
know,
that now.
it's great. Even your phone suggests like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this doesn't sound professional."
I mean, I find it to be super, super helpful. I get super frustrated with people that like have it do everything, and you can tell they spent no time
Right, it's
on
like
what it was.
It's like a home. It's like when you pull up
It's
the
not your
MLS
voice.
and it's like,
Yeah.
well, if you
Your
pull up the
tone.
MLS
Yeah.
and you look at a house description, it's clear that somebody dropped stuff into ChatGPT, but then spent no time. It's like you're talking about spending time on photos. Spent no time paying attention to that whatsoever and really making it its own and making it specific to the house in your own voice. I mean, that stuff with the extra fluff and
what's like the craziest thing that's you've ever experienced shooting residential real estate? Can you tell
Is it
us?
okay if it's rated R?
Yeah.
I mean,
RX.
we don't have a
triple
rating
X.
on
I
this,
mean,
but
yeah.
We're easy in here.
Definitely like
getting
strange
some
and
tea.
most recent, like 2025 too, like a
we
news
have
story.
another guest. Not to interrupt you, Oscar,
You're
but
fine.
I need to like.
I
Push
know,
it
but
along.
Michael,
I
we,
need.
not
I
push
need,
it along, but Michael, we have a another guest. There's no song right now, so can you
There's
focus?
gonna be. Look.
Okay, go ahead, Oscar.
When,
now tell
when
us your
Oscar
story.
leaves stage left,
Okay, there's
there's
be.
gonna
oh,
be
I did not
some-
realize there's gonna be a.
there's
soundtrack
gonna
to
be
that,
some
Oscar.
in between.
An
Not
intermission.
circles around the sun interlude music, but you know.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us your story because
So-
we have some crazy ones, but I'm sure not as crazy.
I
as
mean,
yours.
this isn't like super crazy, but it's just like, are you serious? Like, did you even walk around your house before? You know, like we were there. So
Uh-oh.
no, there's no nudity or anything like that. But I'm going to photograph a house, and it's a nice farmhouse in Doylestown. I'll leave the realtor's name unmentioned. It's not their fault, but I was going in. The realtor's there with me shooting, and it's the missus of the house was home, and none of the kids were home, and I don't think the husband was home either. And we're shooting, you know, room by room. We start on the first floor like we always do, and then I went down to the basement, and then I was going upstairs to the secondary bedrooms, and I was talking to the realtor, and she was like, "Yeah, they have one daughter and one son, but the son's the only one home right now. The daughter lives in California or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And there's a loft bedroom, like where I had to literally climb up like a ladder, like to pretty high. It was like 15 feet high. I was like, "You really want me to shoot that? Like it's just a bed up there with a desk or whatever." And I get up there, and she's like, "Yeah, it's the son's room. He plays like video games and like has a guitar up there and whatnot." And I go to set my camera up, and I turn around, I look at the bed, and there's just a vibrating dildo just sitting on the bed. And I was like, "You said the son's the only one that's home?" Like that was a pretty crazy story to start my 2025.
Oh my.
The realtor
goodness.
could not believe it. Her face
You
bright
made her
red.
did you make her come up there?
I was like, I'm not, like, I'll just zhuzh it out in Photoshop. Like, I'm not touching this. Like, usually, like, I'll fluff pillows and stuff, but now it's like every time I do a real estate
Not
shoot,
fluffing that duvet.
I want to go home and take a shower. It's,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so not a crazy story, but definitely disgusting. It's just like, there's stuff you see all the time.
I'll
It's like-
never forget. I was showing a house in South Philly. Never forget this. Right off of 9th Street. I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 15 years ago. And, you know, now since then, I knock on every closed door. And we go in the house as a young couple. It was probably like a $600,000 house. It had clearly been rented, like each bedroom rented. Like, you know, when you
Sure.
walk in, especially in the city, especially back then. And I walked in on two people in bed together.
Get
Hey-o.
out of here.
Easily.
Hey.
Easily. And that's the only time, and it's like burned in my brain. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going in that room.
Like, middle, like,
Yes,
active? Oh,
in bed.
man.
Yep, never forget that.
Well, you know,
But
things
that's how
happen.
you know it was a rental, because it was like,
They weren't prepared.
yeah,
The
they
peas.
didn't know there was a
Different
showing,
kind of
or
pea.
they did, maybe. Yeah, different kind.
Oh, my
Absolutely.
gosh.
You don't have any of those stories?
Andy Kaplan and I,
Oh, always got an Andy Kaplan in it.
his first commercial purchase was a triplex, maybe a quadplex, 3rd and Lombard. And
It's always Philly.
yeah, 3rd and Lombard. First time we were showing it, I think it was like the 2nd floor, 3rd floor apartment.
Oh wait, you weren't showing him. You had the listing, or you
No,
were
it
showing
was showing Andy.
it? Okay.
This is the first building
the
I ever
buyer.
bought. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was Andy. I think it was on Lombard. Anyway, Andy, you'll have to verify. And we knocked. No one answered. You know, the keys were in the lockbox. Knock first. No one answered. The poor girl was in the shower. I mean, 2 dudes.
Walk in the bathroom, or you heard you had to have heard the shower going.
I mean, I think she heard 2 dudes in her apartment. Like, it was not good.
That had to have been scary for her.
Yeah, but he bought the building.
That's all that matters. Close the deal.
Hey.
He probably has never showered in that shower ever.
I think he condoed it off. I don't remember. Anyway,
Yeah.
I could
mean,
be
that's
mixing
part
up
of-
the stories. You know, that was a long time ago. was
yeah,
like
and it's you. So you
2000.
definitely probably could be.
Huh?
You definitely probably could be mixing that up.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's definitely a ton of
It's from the
stories.
White Years.
Oh my God. Well, Oscar, thank you so much for being here with us.
Of
It's
course.
been really fun and really interesting for us to hear about how you go about doing stuff, because you're integral to our marketing of homes now. And it's
appreciate
like,
it.
I'm sure there are a lot of others.
Yeah, I mean, I love.
Oh, yeah. So Justin's the best. Oscar, why don't you, since you got us on here, why don't you tell everybody about your company and your website so that you're.
Yeah, absolutely. So OscarMikols.com. It's
Not
not
Mikolos.
spelled the way you would think Michaels is spelled. So it's OscarMikols.com. And you can find us on social media. It's OM Media LLC with the @ symbol there.
Yeah.
And yeah, check us out. We have quite a bit of followers. In the beginning, I made the mistake of paying for followers, and we're getting rid of a lot of those.
Can you still do that?
I think so,
You
but
can?
it gets flagged pretty quickly, and it just makes your account just plummet. But
Mm.
we finally on the rise back up. So.
Nice.
But yeah, thanks for having us. And
Yeah, it's
you
been
know,
fun.
Me, and
And we'll see you probably next week. We actually, I think, do see you next week.
sounds good.
All right. Thanks,
guys.
Oscar.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
A little Super Bowl halftime show. Right, Oscar?
my
They're not like us.
I told you I'd get you out of here.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
See you, brother.
See you.
Thank you.
It was good seeing you.
Thanks so much.
Next up, Michael, drum roll, please.
Our man.
Amin Beyah in the house.
What up?
Hi.
What up?
This is first time. I think CJ's been on. You haven't been on, right? No,
First
you
time.
haven't been on. Nice. Well, everybody, this is Amin Beyah. Amin is a team agent on the Sivel Group. He's been on the team since 2016 is what I thought, because it was around the same time as me. It's 2016, 2017?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
2016, 2017. He is also our director of sports and entertainment at the Sivel Group, making him responsible for the team's season tickets and event tickets. From the Phillies to the Sixers and everything in between, he makes sure of all
I
our
mean-
team members get to events. And you sell real estate. But I
Just a
think
little
that
bit.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were signing up for when you got in charge of season tickets.
No, I did not.
Drama.
But it's all good. Everyone has fun.
Coordinating everybody getting tickets.
Yeah, definitely.
We've had some fun.
Yeah, we had.
Well, it also puts you first on the list, which makes it fun. Always first on the list, Phillies. First on the list, Sixers. You got to a couple of Eagles games.
Yes, yes.
We got to get to a couple more this year.
Sixers?
No,
Nah.
dude, they're
Oh.
awful. So are our Phillies right now.
Bullpen.
What bullpen? I mean, you and I could get out there and probably strike a few guys out.
A couple of balls.
Really?
Huh?
You guys have to get to home plate with the ball.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, really? So, I mean, we
What's up?
wanted to have you in. We wanted to talk. A lot of people hear from us about real estate and the real estate market. We wanted to ask you a couple questions and tell our audience out there, probably Christina, your mom, my mom, and Michael's mom right now. But we wanted you to talk a little bit about what you're experiencing in the market. Amin works a lot of first home buyers. works a lot in the city, so a little bit different than us. So we wanted to really get your take
He's all
on,
over.
Yeah.
All over.
But recently more in the city, I feel like.
All over.
We wanted to get your take on what you're experiencing right now in the market.
The market is very interesting at this moment. What I see is buyers need to understand to set the market and not let the market set them, especially with multiple offer situations. That is the biggest thing. They're just spinning their wheels. It's not enough inventory to go around for everyone. So low inventory, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity out there with good agents.
Well, and you're averaging, let's say on a $500,000 house, or let's say on like a 450, you're averaging a dozen offers. I mean, what are you competing with? Depending, let's say it's a well-priced house, a good house.
Well, last weekend I competed with 15 other offers in that price point.
In East Falls?
In
Where
East
were you?
Falls.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had the buyer?
Had
Had a buyer?
yes.
Wow.
It was tough.
And that price point was,
459.
yeah.
And it
got
went over?
5.
over 500.
Over 500. Yeah.
Clean, no inspections probably?
No inspections.
Jeez Louise.
My clients were 30 over, didn't even have a chance, and waived inspections.
Wow. And so you're
So-
coming up against that many offers pretty much consistently in that price point?
Just about every weekend. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's tough.
And
It's
how
tough.
is educating that younger buyer who's never bought before? Like, how do you educate them on waiving inspections? Because when Michael and I are educating buyers on waiving inspections, most of our buyers have bought houses before. So it's like they know what they're getting into. There's not that deer in the headlights kind of look in their eyes, which you probably come up against. And how do you educate them that you might have to waive inspections, and what does that mean?
It all starts with the pre-walkthrough. Going through the home and just identifying, the things that you can, and not sound and act like you are an inspector, right? That is the best thing you can do for a buyer to, educate them. Walk through, hot water tank,
Yeah.
HVAC system, if there's any cracks, and joists and stuff like that. This is regular stuff that you can identify
A
just
little
by
bit of
visual.
it, whatever electrical's exposed, probably.
Like
Exactly.
the Pushmatic.
What Pushmatic?
The Pushmatic in Roxborough, where prior to listing, like we sat down with the family and we're like, hey, this is where we want to price it. This is what we want to try and accomplish. However, if we do get a inspection that's going to be for informational purposes only, this is going to be a red flag because it's a fire hazard.
Oh, yeah.
And lo and behold, the only thing the buyer, and they didn't even ask because it was as is.
It was.
They
as is,
just
but
said,
they-
hey, we're getting numbers on swapping out the electrical, the push magic fire hazard
Oh, the
circuit breaker, from
box,
1950.
Not
Wow.
everybody knows what
Right?
a Pushmatic is, yeah.
Right.
But
But-
that's something that even with our eyes, we're not inspectors. You're not an inspector, but there are
Yeah.
things you can see. So
But our
there-
seller was prepped,
yeah, we kept
and
telling our
they
seller.
actually contributed.
Ended up chipping in for it, and that's a $299 price point. But yes, still needed to waive inspections. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
went over.
And also depends on the buyer's financing. Different things you have to
True.
point out through FHA versus VA versus your conventional buyers. So that is big too, knowing what to look out for, when you're walking through with those, other buyers that are ready to go.
So when I was thinking and pulling together, Michael and I were talking through questions. The one thing I was really interested in is knowing how your buyer type or your young buyers are reacting to all the tariff talk. Because really, it's not affecting. We saw a little bit of a slow, but more as a distraction. But with young buyers, they're probably, again, deer in headlights. Like, what's happening with that, and how are you getting them over that?
Just rent versus buy. Rents are going up. A lot of them are coming up to their lease being expiring. So, they have to consider that rent increase. Do they want to pay another, 30, 40 grand a year for a property that they don't own versus owning a property
Right.
and, creating some wealth at a young age? So that's the biggest talk. Numbers really work.
How often do parents come to your to your showings?
We send this stuff. So Liam and I share this stuff on social media all the time.
Go
And
ahead,
this is-
explain, Michael.
Well, we share a lot of stuff.
No, explain the inspections, the parent stuff.
Well, I think we're just older, you and I now, so it doesn't happen as often because our first-time home buyers are few and far between. I
No,
mean, we
but that's
get
what I'm
them.
saying is poor. I mean,
But you get sometimes the dad
with the flashlight.
who's retired, brings his tape measure and
Oh,
his
jeez.
flashlight and little mirror and
His little tool belt.
He's got a little too much time on his hands. Bought his first house for $30,000 and a stick of gum, and
1965.
can't believe their kids are paying $500 for something on West Penn.
Exactly. Well, it's happening more frequent now because, like you
you're
said,
waiving inspections.
because you're waiving inspections.
So dad's coming.
So dad's coming. He's like, can we have an inspector there and walk through? Walk and talk, what they call it, which a lot of inspectors are pushing back on because of insurance reasons. They don't want to be held accountable for that, whatever they point out, and something goes bad after the purchase. So, yeah.
How often do you do walk and talks or do you not?
I do not.
Yeah, we
I do
don't
not.
either. We try not to.
Yeah, I try to stay away from that.
We
Yeah.
just ran into one today.
Yeah.
We
It
were
was during-
showing
it was during an
house.
open
they
house.
had the you-know-whats to bring them during an open house.
Open house.
What?
And then
Yes.
I was down in the
This is
basement,
good.
right? And like the inspector opens up the electrical panel, and I'm like down there actually like looking at stuff. Like
Right.
I'm not there like to overhear like what you guys are doing, because quite honestly, like I don't
I
care
don't
what
care.
you're doing. Like, so I'm over here, and like they started talking, and all of a sudden I turn around because they got real quiet, and they were like looking at me. Like I had
The
int-
agent
I-
and
like,
the inspector.
like I had intruded into their private like domain.
At
That's
an open
funny.
house.
Oh
yeah.
my
So I lingered a little bit longer.
$1,700,000.
Just to be a jerk. And then Jen was like right at the top of the basement steps. When I got to the top of the basement steps, I'm like, you need to go downstairs and linger.
And so I did.
Go down there and linger.
I'm like,
just to-
what?
Because they were like,
And he goes, just go linger. It's really fun. I'm like, okay. And I did. And they were the same. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
who is it? And there wasn't an agent that any of us, like we've been doing this a long time. You run into all the same agents. I'm like, who is this cat that's down here with this inspector?
but I mean, a walk and talk, in my opinion, the inspector shouldn't be wearing his tool belt.
Right.
The
he
inspector shouldn't be taking off the cover of the
Which
circuit
he
panel.
was. In front of
And
buyers.
shouldn't be like doing an actual like inspection.
Right.
A walk and talk is you're walking
And putting
and
your
you're
eyeballs
putting your
on, yeah.
eyeballs on things and you're talking about it with the buyer. It wasn't even the buyer. I think it was an agent. And so like,
Oh my gosh.
it's like if you're going to do it right
Just
or
point a
don't
finger.
do it at all.
Yeah, just point.
Right.
Point and look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I could have been another buyer and been like, oh, I'm just going to follow these guys the rest of my time here. And they would have gotten all worked up.
Right.
And then you could probably
And then you
lo-
turn off a
know,
lot of people.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
that's the problem.
I think they're a bad idea.
Yeah.
Either don't do them, either do it if you can do it, a full blown inspection, or don't, and then get the house inspected right after you buy it and know what you got to deal with and get it done.
Right.
So let me ask you, as a listing agent, have you gotten that question? Can I bring an inspector for a walk and talk?
Yes.
And you say,
No.
yeah, always.
Always no.
So I always love when,
We don't have a contract. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
yeah,
So-
And then all of a sudden, it could be things you might have to disclose. Like, why do you get to inspect
yeah.
this
I
property?
always love the agents that like book multiple appointments, one after the other.
Then you know it's coming.
Then
Right?
you know
It's
it's coming,
like
right.
Back to
ding,
back.
ding,
Yep.
ding, and you're like, huh? Why does he need or she need or they need that 3-hour window at the house?
That's
and so like
happened.
you're like, call them
That's
up.
legit happening.
Hey, noticed you set up 3 appointments. Like,
What's going
do you
on?
really have 3 buyers? Oh no, we were gonna do a walk and
Is
talk.
that
Like,
okay?
yeah, pick up the phone. Like, don't you
Right.
think like we're gonna understand why you just blocked out 3 hours of the house? Like, hello.
Although we have not run into that. I feel like in like almost a year. Like I was really surprised to walk into this open house and run into that. That really surprised me. But I think it depends on the
The
market.
dude had a tool belt on.
Yeah.
And
Michael spies him from
like, outside the house, and I'm like,
Michael's like,
I'm
"Psst,
like, yo, there's an
there's
inspector.
an inspector.
Right. Now,
Do-do-do-do-do.
do you think that reason buyers and do that type of things because they don't trust their agents per se?
Well, I don't know if it's they don't trust their agents. I think one, there's some agents that probably suggest it, like, hey, this is going to be a free for all. We're going to get one shot at this. You're not going to get contingencies. It's going to go over asking. I'll call the other agent and see if we can bring the inspector and walk through the property. It's not going to be a full inspection, but at least you're going to know some of the, nuts and bolts. And I think it's more inspector or agent driven than probably
Yeah, but
anybody.
I think there are some
Same.
agents out there that just haven't educated themselves on houses. Like you and I and Michael feel like we can confidently walk through. We're not going to pretend we're inspectors, but there's some stuff we can visually see and call out, right? And I think there are just some agents that are just transactional and are just kind of like, glaze over with that kind of stuff and aren't as educational towards their buyers when showing a house. I mean,
Agents, go to your home inspections.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, go ahead. There you
Walk
go.
with the inspector.
Yeah,
You can learn a ton.
that's exactly
I
it.
never
Learn a ton.
understand why
That's exactly
buyer
it. You're right.
agents
Right.
aren't there
Mhm.
from start to finish, and they don't have to say anything. Just be in their hip pocket.
Exactly.
Because 9 times out of 10, the inspector's going to want to like, hey, my report, it's going to read this way because that's how I have to write it up. But this
Exactly.
really isn't that bad,
Yep.
and here's why.
Mhm.
And instead, they wait for the report, and then they don't have that
Cut and copy the
they don't have
summary.
that color,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then it's given to their buyer who might not even be there as well, like if they're out of state.
Mhm.
I mean, I have such a problem with buyer agents who are getting a commission that don't show up to inspections.
So I had that happen to me recently.
Really?
Buyer agent did
Were
not
you
show
there
up.
as the listing agent?
I was a listing agent.
But were you at the house?
I came,
Yep.
introduced myself,
Yep.
right?
No way.
Just the buyer there and inspector. Get the report back. The inspector has costs to every maintenance item
Oh my
and
God.
defect.
Even
So-
like a handrail, right? Yeah.
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 So what happened was, reply to inspection, the number that came up was astronomical because he's going off of national average. I don't think inspectors should have that in their reports,
Mhm.
the numbers.
I haven't seen that in a long
Yeah,
time. That's surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, so the buyer's not supposed to be in the house
Without
without
realtor.
the agent.
Did
The,
you,
the home inspector
the
doesn't
rate-
count.
yeah,
Right.
did you give the agent a little bit of a hard time?
during the negotiation, yes, we had to extend our
I
time.
think we heard him in the other. I think we
Yeah.
were
I
in the
don't
other
remember
room.
that.
Yeah.
It was tough. We got
He was
through it.
giving him
Yeah.
the business.
We got through it. Yeah.
Well, technically, it shouldn't be. That's an ethics violation. They shouldn't be in the house without the agent. I mean, he's lucky you were there. Did
Right.
you end up staying because of that, or did you leave?
No, I left.
You did leave.
I left. I didn't
Wow,
have to- I
that's
didn't have time.
interesting.
I mean, but you were there for a while. You didn't
Yeah, I was
just,
there
like,
for a
walk in and
while.
walk out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Sivel Group agents, we don't do that stuff.
No.
No,
Not
no,
at all.
no.
What do you and your partner in crime have coming up?
Yeah, you want to float any coming soons out there? Want to tease anything? And your partner, obviously, Michael, being Christy Jones, who you partner in crime, who you do a lot of business with.
Yes.
Shout out to CJ.
Shout out to CJ.
Yeah. You
She's
guys
on.
got anything you're floating out there that's not? I mean, she just listed Newkirk, which looks cool.
That's great. Great Fairmont property.
Yep.
We'll be open this weekend.
You gonna
Yep.
be down there?
I'll be down there tomorrow.
Nice.
Tomorrow's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friday, 3 to 5.
Come
Uh,
see Amin.
Saturday, 11 to 7. Come see me.
Nice.
Yeah.
11 to 7?
Oh, I'm sorry. 11 to 1.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I was like,
I'm
that's
bugging.
a long open house, dude.
11 to
You gonna
1.
get some pizza delivered? What are you doing?
And then, are we allowed to? You have something coming in Brewery Town, don't you?
yes, we do.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you're allowed
Yeah.
to.
You
I'm not
got
going to give
any-
the address, though.
No. You got anything else floating out there?
Something in Port Richmond,
Nice.
coming soon.
Nothing out in media with your other partner in crime. Did you have the little Bambino yet?
No, I think that's in June.
June?
I believe. I think that date. I don't know.
What?
Nothing.
Why am I in trouble?
You're not in trouble. So, I mean, thanks so much for being with us. It's been fun to have
appreciate
you
it.
here. I can't believe we haven't had you here yet.
Oh.
We're gonna have to do it again. Maybe
Yeah.
when we do like a sports one, we can let you two kind of go off on how bad the Phillies.
Oh,
are.
Big
that
night tonight, bro.
Yeah, I was wondering when that was coming.
First
Are
night of
you
the
watching?
draft.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How are we Magic?
Yeah. Think he's moving up?
I think he will.
I was guessing.
Or
he
either
would.
that or he's going to make a big trade.
Big trade.
Big trade.
I think he's going to. I want that linebacker from Georgia.
Yeah.
Give me another
Is
dog.
that what you think too, or you got one you got your eye on?
I think he's either
Michael.
going to go for a safety or another defensive lineman. Edge rusher.
You said that.
Edge rusher.
Edge rusher.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
that too. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah, so maybe we're gonna have to do a sports one of these days. But we definitely have to have you back, or we have to have you back with CJ, which would be very fun.
I got to
too.
Yeah, it'll be
forward
fun.
you this story. I mean, that our client.
You're on your phone
I got to forward him this
right
story.
now.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody, if you have any topics for us to cover, any questions, please DM us on the Instagram at the Sivel Group. Thanks for living. Thanks for living. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for breathing.
I am being distracted.
Good
'cause
luck on breathing
nobody
more.
is paying attention right now. Thanks for listening. And stay tuned for more ramblings from the Sivel Group. And look for Amin Beyah on Instagram. You're at Amin Beyah, right?
Yes.
Beyah. Find him.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean, Amin? Thank you.
Thanks for having me.